All right, let's jump right into it. If you're evaluating a Cath Lab travel contract for 2026, you already know your specialty plays by a completely different set of financial rules than general travel nursing. But securing the absolute maximum value for your skills, well, that takes way more than just glancing at the headline figures. Today, we're going to break down the hard data to help you optimize your pay and protect your license before you ever even think about signing that contract.
So let's start by establishing our baseline. Right now, the national average for Cath Lab travel nurses sits at roughly $2,681 a week. And honestly, that's a really solid 20% bump above the general travel nursing average.
But listen, relying solely on that gross weekly average, that is a critical mistake. It's essentially smoke and mirrors. You could have two contracts boasting the exact same headline number, but they can yield wildly different real take-home pay once you actually look under the hood.
To figure out why, here is what we're covering today. 1. The Cath Lab Premium. 2. The Triple Threat Pay Structure. 3. Inpatient versus outpatient trade-offs. 4. The RCIS Advantage. And 5. The pre-signed checklist.
Okay, Section 1. The Cath Lab Premium and Technological Complexity.
You know, while general nursing rates have kind of settled down recently, the Cath Lab Premium remains incredibly insulated. And you might be wondering, why is that? Well, partly because Certificate of Need, or CON laws, restrict the building of new facilities in a lot of states. What that does is funnel all these high-acuity cases straight into existing hospitals. These facilities are aggressively pushing advanced structural heart procedures right into the Cath Lab, which keeps demand incredibly high and pushes those top-tier contracts anywhere from $3,600 to over $4,500 a week.
And these specific high-revenue procedures form a massive barrier to entry. We're talking TAVR and MitraClip for structural heart, and Impella and ECMO for advanced circulatory support. I mean, general floats simply cannot just walk in and manage this level of equipment, right? That strictly justifies your premium.
Moving on to Section 2, deconstructing the triple threat pay structure.
The very first piece of this threat is your taxable base rate. IRS scrutiny on artificially low taxable bases is very, very real. Your hourly should generally run $35 to $45 in lower cost of living states, and up to $60 or $70 in places like California or Washington. Actually, if you see an artificially low base, that is a huge red flag. It literally means the agency is shifting their payroll tax burden and the resulting IRS audit risk directly onto you.
Then we've got to face the reality of the schedule. Let's be totally honest here, 10 to 15 on-call days a month is just a brutal load. But that's exactly what these Cath Lab contracts typically demand. This heavy call burden is the second piece of the triple threat, and it's where a whole lot of travelers lose out on some serious money.
You absolutely have to push back on flat weekly call stipends. You need to demand an hourly on-call rate above $5. Think about it. If a facility requires you to stay within 30 minutes of the hospital, that is a strict restriction on your personal life. Anything below $5 an hour is just a legacy rate. Negotiate it up.
And the third part of this structure is your callback minimum. You need a specific 2-hour minimum protection at time and a half of your blended rate. Without it, a false STEMI alarm or a quick 20-minute pacemaker check at 3 a.m. is going to cost you your sleep for essentially nothing. Make sure you get it guaranteed in writing.
All right, Section 3, inpatient versus outpatient trade-offs.
This comes down to a strict lifestyle trade-off. Hospital inpatient work gives you the absolute maximum weekly gross, around $3,200 to $3,800 a week, but it demands that heavy call we just talked about. On the flip side, ambulatory surgery centers or office-based labs pay a bit less, typically around $2,400 to $2,700, but you get zero call, no weekends, and a much more sustainable lifestyle.
Next up is Section 4, the RCIS Certification Advantage.
So, by holding the RCIS, that's the Registered Cardiovascular Invasive Specialist Certification, or the CCRN-CSC, you immediately qualify for a facility's premium Tier 1 bill rate. Facilities are explicitly looking for these markers of competency.
The return on investment here is simply undeniable. An RCIS should realistically add anywhere between $150 to $250 to your weekly taxable base. Seriously, if your recruiter isn't bringing up your RCIS during negotiations, you are absolutely leaving money on the table.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the pre-signed protection checklist.
Okay, listen up, because this checklist is non-negotiable. A 20-minute response time in a heavy traffic city like Los Angeles is a massive hazard. You've got to push for 30-plus minutes or demand a sleep room. Also confirm that holiday call pays double. And this is absolutely crucial. Ensure the facility provides a properly fitted lead apron. Wearing a heavy, unwashed, ill-fitting 15-pound lead apron for 13 weeks straight is a legitimate career-shortening physical injury risk. Don't do it.
And last but not least, the float clause. You must never sign a contract that allows a highly specialized procedural nurse to be floated to a general med-surg floor. That is a massive safety and career risk. Your float clause must be explicitly limited to like areas only, such as the EP lab or interventional radiology.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Take a hard look at your current options. Does your pending offer actually survive the triple threat test regarding your taxable base, your on-call rate, and your callback minimum? Or are you just looking at the headline number? Empower yourself to look past the flash. Uncover what your contract is truly worth before you ever sign on the dotted line.